Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. It's Saturday day. There was no video yesterday because really there wasn't any much news. So I figured I'd spend the time with my family, which is what I did. And we're back in the swing of things today. Today we're going to cover what happened yesterday with the miners as far as stock performance was concerned, along with Bitcoin. And then we'll take a look at how the miners have performed against Bitcoin this past week. And then we're also going to take a look at Rivian and a little bit of an update on them. So I got some possibly good news for you guys if you guys are interested in that. So we'll get into all that, but as always, not financial advice here, for entertainment only. Please do your own research and invest in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out. And let's take a look at the markets here, what happened yesterday on them. So if we look at it, here we go. S&P was up 0.03%, Dow Jones was up 0.01%, and the NASDAQ was down 0.22%. Bitcoin, on the other hand, yesterday, if I'm looking at this correctly here, yesterday, which was the 21st, that's correct, it was up 0.33% on the day, closed at 29,907. It's still within our channel here that we've been trading in currently. A couple of things that I wanted to note here is, if you look at the RSI, right now the price is pretty close to where peaked right around here almost on this RSI here, which was at 70. We're only about $50, $100 off from that right now. But the RSI has come way down here to the 50 mark, which is a good sign. Gives us more room to run in the long run. We also have the FOMC meeting coming up here next week, which is going to be the 26th. And that is going to tell a lot as far as which way we're going to go. I think we're going to possibly go down as we have in the past. And anytime the FOMC had a meeting, raised interest rates, we ended up going down lower. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that white noise there, or no noise. I had to clear my throat. Okay. Back to the swing of things. So that's on the daily chart. On the weekly chart also, if we look at that one on the RSI here, you can see that we also peaked back over here right around the same time frame a while back. Price is about the same as it is back then. RSI is lower on it, so that's also looking pretty good there on the weekly chart. Okay, we're obviously a little concerned here getting on the weekly chart that if we go up too much further on it, we would have obviously be overbought and we would have a major correction here. We had a smaller correction here, it looks like, and then we came back up. RSI at a much lower point, and it continued to go down here in the last 4 weeks or so, even though the price is still at the same spot. So that's good news there to me, at least. Okay. Ethereum next. Ethereum on the weekly, if we look at that one, same kind of story here, except it peaked here. If we look at it prior to that, right around the same spot where it's trading right now, which was right around here. RSI is lower on the weekly, which is good. Daily, if we look at the daily as well, we can see here that we peaked. I'm trying to see where price is the same here. If we go back, here we go. So right around here, obviously RSI is lower than that. That's a good sign as well on that one. Okay. So that kind of covers Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's take a look at the miners now. So the miners were kind of mixed yesterday for the most part. Annie was down 1.16%. Argo was up 3.29%. BitDigital was up 0.51%. BitDeer was down again for the fourth straight day in a row, down 6.39%. Bitfarms was up slightly, 1.16%. Cypher was down 2.91%. CleanSpark was down 1.23%. Cores was down 3.34%. DigiHost was down 6.51%. DMG was up nicely, 7% on that one. Greenidge was down 1.82%. Hive was down 2.2%. Hut 8 was up 0.55%. Iris Energy was up 0.3%. Marathon was down 1.06%. Mawson was down 11%. Mawson got definitely clobbered there. 11.3% down. Riot was down 0.49%. Soluna was up 2.61%. Stronghold was up 1.03%. Wolf was up nicely as well, 6.1% on the day yesterday. So that kind of summarizes all the miners here as far as their performance has been. We'll take a look at how Bitcoin performed against the Bitcoin miners this past week. And it's actually pretty telling as far as how things worked out for the miners this week. But lastly, but not least, we'll take a look at the network hash rate, see what's going on there. As we always track it, seems like the 7-day average has come up to 384 million terahashes, and the 1-day average is now at, it's actually come way down here to 300 million terahashes. Could be because of the heat that they're experiencing towards Arizona, Texas area. A lot of those miners might be doing a lot of curtailing right now. Okay, so that's possibly why that is pretty low right now. Okay, so that's it for those. Let's take a look at how the miners performed against Bitcoin here. Okay, so let's take a look at the Bitcoin miners versus Bitcoin for this past week. As we always start out here, we look at the 52-week lows, from the 52-week lows, and from the 52-week highs as well. The green bars are how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows, and then the red bars are how far away they are from their 52-week highs. Okay, so as you can see here, Core obviously has done the best here, up 1,148%, followed by Cypher, up 1,036. BitDigital is up 647%. TerraWolf up 575%. Iris is up 562%. Then DigiHost is up 525%. Those are kind of like our leaders right now, year to date, basically. And then you got Riot, Marathon's doing really well, Hut 8, Bitforms, Argo, DMG as well, Hive, CleanSpark, BitDeer is a newer one here that we're tracking. And Bitcoin's only up 95%, so all of those guys have done better than Bitcoin has done, with the exception of Mawson and Sphere 3D. Those guys have been lagging Bitcoin, especially Sphere 3D here. And then when we look at the actual how far they are away from their 52-week highs, we can see that Bitcoin's only 4.2% away from that. DMG is 10%. TerraWolf is only 9.7% away from that. Riot up, only 11% away from it. And then we got some guys that are in here in their teens, 20s, and close to being 30s. And then we have obviously the big ones here. Core is still 75% away from its 52-week high, along with Argo 77%, Mawson 66%, and Sphere at 69%. It'll be interesting to see if obviously Core can get back up to its 52-week highs. With the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, we'll have to see how things end up for them. Argo is also another one that's kind of interesting here. They're diluted a bunch of shares, about 20% or something like that, or 10% of their shares. In England, they're strapped for cash as well, and they need to definitely grow before the halving event. And then you got Mawson. Mawson, not sure what's going on with Mawson. We'll have to see. They're trying to get their things together. But Sphere 3D also has been struggling with getting miners installed. They've done a much better job here in the last couple months than they had in the past year. So that's the way things are shaping up right now. And then if we look at the performance on the miners here for the past week, let me do this by performance here. So everybody did pretty bad, except DMG and TerraWolf have outperformed Bitcoin. Bitcoin was only up 0.44%. I track Bitcoin from Friday to Friday, basically, as well as the miners here. So DMG was up 8.24%, TerraWolf was up 3.69%, and then everybody else did worse. BitDigital, Riot, Iris, Marathon, Core, CleanSpark, Hive, Cypher, Bitforms, Hut 8, DigiHost, Mawson, BitDeer, and Argo, and Sphere 3D. The last five obviously did the worst here out of the bunch for this past week. It wasn't a good week for the miners. We had a much better week last week. But nonetheless, this is the way it's shaping up right now. And then had you bought basically 4 weeks ago, this is how you would be stacking up right now. So if you bought any of these 4 weeks ago, like if you bought TerraWolf at 4 weeks ago, you'd be up 108%, which would be really good right now. DMG up 66%, Riot 55%, Cypher up 51%, CleanSpark up 49%. So those are like the top five. Top six would be even Iris in here at 45%. And then you got a bunch in the, one in the 20s and then a bunch in the teens. And Bitcoin's only up, down 0.03% from 4 weeks ago. So those have definitely done better than Bitcoin has. And then we got some laggards here that have done worse, which is Core, Argo, and BitDigital. Then if we look at the 8 weeks percentage gains, let's take a look at that really quick. We can see here that, so where are we at? Why am I showing a weird number there? Oh, percentage gains. That's why. Okay, here we go. So from 8 weeks ago, TerraWolf, BitDeer, Core, Iris, DMG have done the best. And you got a bunch here in the 60s with Marathon, Cypher, Hut 8, Hive, and then you got Riot, CleanSpark, Bitfarms, 50s and 40s. And then Bitcoin's only up 11.81%. So all of these guys have done better from Bitcoin from 8 weeks ago, with the exception, again, with Sphere 3D and Mawson being the laggards here as well. And then finally, let's take a look at the 12 weeks as well. Percentage-wise, and we can see here that had you bought back then, Mawson and Sphere 3D would be the worst performers. Bitcoin's only up 3.16%, and the miners have definitely done a heck of a lot better job than Bitcoin has in the past 12 weeks. Excuse me. That's one of the things that we love about the miners is that they are like a leverage play against Bitcoin. Bitcoin goes up a couple percentage points. These guys can go up a heck of a lot more, and we're seeing that right now. So Core's up 125%, TerraWolf is up 98%, Cypher's up 96%, Hut 8 is 93%. Then you got Iris at 81%. Those are top five right there, with possibly good mentions of BitDeer and DMG being pretty close to that as well. And then you got the rest as well. So it's shaping up to be a good year overall for the miners, I think. Depending where Bitcoin ends up at the end of the year, which I think is going to be probably closer around 40,000. By the halving time, we're going to be probably closer to 50,000, I'm guessing, if that all plays out the way I think it might. We'll have to see, but that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. And if it gets up to those prices in Bitcoin, obviously the miners are going to do really well as well going forward. Here you can see how the miners have performed each week. I do have to add BitDeer to this. I have not added that to it yet. I will add it. I just noticed it right now. So they'll get added on later on, and then I will add this to the Patreon's files as well. Okay, so we can see here we had obviously a bad week here this past week. We've had a couple of pretty good weeks here in the last 5 to 6 weeks or so, and overall it's starting to turn more greenish than it has been reddish in like last year, which is a good sign there, and we'll see how things go. Okay, so let me know what you guys think of all this. Where do you guys think Bitcoin's going to be going in the next couple months? Miners, where are they going to be going in the next couple months? And we'll talk about it in the comments down below. Okay, finally, Rivian. Okay, so let's talk about Rivian. Rivian is one of those ones that I wanted to, well, I've covered in the past for the first part of it, but I've been really busy with the miners, so I haven't had time to really get into Rivian again, but I wanted to get back into it. I want to do the same kind of metrics that we've done for the miners, Bitcoin miners. So I wanted to kind of use the same kind of layout with the graphs, everything, get everything nicely done for you guys here and also for myself, see how they're progressing. But I wanted to do it basically on all the EVs. So I'm going to be getting information for Polestar, Lucid, Tesla, and possibly some other ones as well once I find them, and kind of gauge them, how they're all progressing, how Rivian's progressing, kind of do some metrics on all of these guys. Okay, so that's going to be coming down the line for you guys as well. This is going to be available to the Patreon members later on tonight. I'm going to upload this for them. And I've still got quite a bit of work to do on it, but I just kind of wanted to go over it nonetheless. Okay, so far, Rivian has about 939 million shares outstanding. Stock price is about $25. Market cap is at 23 billion right now. You can see that in the last 12 weeks, they've done really well. They're up 93.6% from 12 weeks ago, 63.9% from 8 weeks ago, 83.4% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were up only 0.49%. Okay. Now, as far as vehicles being delivered, so we're going to kind of categorize it in two forms: vehicles delivered, vehicles produced. And they already provided their Q2 results for vehicles delivered and vehicles produced, but they haven't provided their financial results yet. That's going to be coming up, I believe, August 6th, I think. Don't quote me on that one, but I think it's right around there. What we can see here is the vehicles delivered since they started back in Q3 of 2021. They've definitely done a nice ramp up as far as delivering more and more vehicles each quarter, except for Q1 of this year in 2023, which was down. I'm guessing that was possibly because of supply issues, and it looks like they got that worked out in Q2. So Q2 now they delivered 12,640 vehicles on average. They're delivering on an average about 140 vehicles per day, and that was a 59% increase over Q1 here, which was down a percentage point. Okay, now vehicles produced, you can see here also that they've had a nice ramp up in number of vehicles that they're producing per quarter, with the exception of, again, Q1, which I'm guessing was supply issues. There's something that had to be with there. It also could have been that we had a couple of less days in that quarter. That could have affected it as well. But obviously in Q2 here, they're providing that they had almost 14,000 vehicles delivered or produced, 13,992, which is really good. So I love seeing that ramp up here that we're seeing here, and I believe that's going to continue going up. Now, average number of vehicles produced per day is 155, which is also a nice ramp up here as well. Quarter over quarter, you can see there's 49% more vehicles produced in the prior quarter, so that's good there. Revenue. So this is based on what they're providing us. Revenues for the R1T, R1S, and also for those delivery vans that they're producing for Amazon. They lump it all in together under one number. And on average, they're getting revenue of about $83,187 per vehicle delivered. Cost of revenue per vehicle produced has been coming down also nicely here. It's at $127,302 right now, which is getting better and better each quarter. I'm expecting that to come down going forward as they produce more vehicles as well. So eventually in the next maybe, I don't know, 4 to 6 quarters, it might be at break even, potentially depending on how many vehicles they produce. I know they want to get to about 50,000 vehicles produced this year, and they're pretty close to that. Well, they're close to being halfway there. We'll have to see. Obviously, they're going to have to ramp up some more in Q3 and Q4 to hit that 50,000 vehicles this year. Debt to equity ratio also is looking pretty good. They're still under 1 at 0.3, which is really good. Current ratio still looking great, 5.8 times basically to pay off their current debt with current assets. So that's good there. You can see their total current assets here right now is at 13.3 billion. Total current liabilities is right now at 2.2 billion. So still really good. Still great ratio there. Okay, now stock estimates here. This is definitely still a work in progress. I'm just trying to figure out how to value them based on future revenue growth and currently. So are they currently fairly valued or fairly undervalued? Still trying to figure this out. So this is definitely going to be a work in progress. There's going to be some changes here. This section over here is probably going to get cut out. I'm debating it right now, but I think it's going to get cut out. I'm going to be looking more at future estimates, right? And I'll explain this as I go along here. But year-to-date vehicles delivered was 20,586. I know that they want to get too close to 50,000 or more delivered. They want to produce 50,000 this year. So 2023 vehicle target is 50,000. Vehicles left to basically get to that point is 29,414. They have 2 quarters left, Q3 and Q4 to do that. So they would have to basically manufacture, deliver about 14,707 vehicles per quarter at an average price right now at 83,187. That would give them a revenue per quarter of approximately 1.2 billion. If they can do that, that's going to be a huge increase from where they are right now. And looking at if we multiply that times 4 quarters, so basically we're looking at 4.89 billion in revenue. That's definitely a lot better than the current number that we're looking at, which is Q1 numbers for them for revenue. Multiplying it times 4 quarters, that's 2.6. So if they can produce more and sell more, that's definitely going to have an impact on it. Okay. Now, the multiple here. The multiple I'm using is one that I've calculated based on Tesla's numbers. So Tesla's numbers are 824 billion in market cap. They have, current quarter, they generated 21.26 billion in revenue. Multiply that times 4 to get 85 billion for future growth. And then taking that number and dividing it by the market cap, and you're getting a 9.6 multiple there. I did the same thing here with Rivian, taking their last quarter revenue times 4 and multiplying that, getting the number there, and then basically dividing it from the market cap. And we get an 8.9 multiple here. So I've done the same thing here for them going forward, taking the future revenue, which was going to be about 4.89 billion, multiplying it times the 8.9, and we get a market cap potential of 43.9 billion, which then would represent a share price of $46.77 per share. So looking at future, definitely undervalued right now, being at $25.27. Based on this, they would be undervalued for where they're going to be going forward. But I still got to run some numbers through this, see what makes sense. I'm going to do the numbers for Polestar, Lucid, Tesla, like I said, and then maybe use an average of those numbers for the multiple to apply to everybody here that's across the board as far as future potential earnings, okay? So that's the way things look there. And like I said, this is just a work in progress. I have all the data here for all the quarters as well. And this will be obviously available to all the Patreon members as well. And we'll see what else we can put in here as far as metrics and things like that, see how they're performing compared to the other miners as well, okay? Let me know if you guys are interested in this or not. Like I said, I want to cover Rivian, Polestar, Lucid, Tesla, and whoever else we can find in there that's in the EV industry. And we'll probably rename this to the EV vehicles, electric vehicles or something like that, numbers for the spreadsheet. And we'll see how things progress. So I want to kind of expand out a little bit more than just the miners. I'm interested, obviously, in Rivian. I have shares in them. My shares are still down about 20% in value from what my average price is on them. So we'll see how things go, okay? But nonetheless, let me know what you guys think of all of this. Always appreciate you guys' feedback on this. And then we'll see what happens over the weekend. Hopefully nothing bad. We'll see what happens with the miners. Well, next week how they do, especially with the FOMC meeting coming up. And we'll see how Bitcoin does, obviously, as well when that happens. So it's going to be a fun, busy week next week. And we'll cover it all. So as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.